out room in your home and to spare cash might be a lot easier than you think. Renting out rooms has become a new trend, but before you do it, you need to make sure everything looks great for guests. So here with some helpful tips is interior designer Rebecca West. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, I mean, this is happening. Airbnb, VRBO is vacation rental by owner, right? And there are other longer term rental things where you can actually just rent out a house. You know, maybe your kids have gone to college and you want to make some extra dough. So tell me more.
Well, there's a lot of ways to do it, and it's important to know that the rental market is constantly changing, not just the market, but also the regulations around it. So you want to keep an eye on that. But you can absolutely make money from your home from either weekly rentals or even just couch surfing, all the way to completely remodeling your home and creating a standalone unit that you can rent out. And it could be long-term, you know, standard, just rent out a vacant space on Craigslist, or you can do foreign exchange student programs, visiting professorship programs where you would actually do a furnished space, have a lot more control over that experience, even host and have a cultural exchange, or obviously Airbnb and VRBO.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really interesting. So there's some options out there and we should check those out. In the meantime, we're just going to talk about freshening up a room, and it could be just because you have guests coming.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be, you know, anything other than that. So let's talk about some of the things that you brought to remind us about. First things first, fresh bedding.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to sleep in bedding that looks like it's tired and worn and used. That's nasty.
Let's not do that. And you suggested we don't go for too, you know, too modern, too masculine, too feminine. Just, you know, keep it kind of neutral.
Yeah, you want it to have some interest and some life and some personality. That's really important. But you don't want it to be too girly or too manly. You don't want it to be too themey, like the Mickey Mouse room, right? Nothing wrong with Mickey Mouse. But that's going to be a really personal choice, and you want it to appeal to as many renters as possible. So I like a travel theme. A really light travel theme is a really nice way to go. It makes it feel traveled, obviously,
yes,
without being over the top as a theme.
Okay. You say go for a coordinated look, but nothing that, you know, as you said, looks like a cartoon.
Exactly.
So what's the best way to do that? Where do we shop for things?
Well, first of all, it's an investment, so you want to make sure you don't spend too much money. That's really important. And there are so many value stores you can shop at, Ross and Home Goods and Marshalls, all those kinds, Target, all those kinds of places. And I like to start with either finding the bedding first or a piece of art, and that's my launching point. And both of those can be very inexpensive. I mean, you can find a whole bed in a bag for less than $50.
I know,
and
it's
it'll freshen
amazing,
the whole room.
right?
And then from that, I choose my paint color, some artwork, some flowers, some throw pillows, and I'm done. And it just makes the whole room feel really vibrant.
Fresh paint
goes a long way to transforming any house. Yes.
And it's, you know, other than the taping on part, which I would pay someone to do, I like the painting. It's not that hard to do. Should you go bold or neutral on the paint? Does it matter?
Well, it really depends on the bedding that you're going to choose. So I pulled together two schemes today, and one is focused on neutral bedding, and I would pair that with a bold paint color, and the other was I found bold bedding, and or bold accessories in general, and I would pair that with a neutral color. So you can go either way. You just want to make sure that when the room's done, it doesn't feel like boring contractor beige and flat. It has some life to it.
Has some life. You also emphasize clean floors and surfaces and good lighting. So, you know, review all of that in the room.
Well, and especially with our smaller spaces, people over-rely on can lights in the ceiling, which just darkens up a space because the ceiling's still dark. It just lights up the floor. So you want to have some good lamps that you can turn on with good wattage. You want, obviously, clean surfaces. I mean, that just, no matter what else you do, have it really, really clean and tidy for your guests.
So if you're starting from scratch, and let's say you're remodeling something, you have some photographs, and I want to get your opinion, how you kind of make spaces seem open and welcoming.
Yeah, well, with rental spaces,
there's a before and after, right?
Yeah, you don't need to think so much about compartmentalizing spaces. You can think more like studio or European design. You can go smaller, more efficiency, and your bedroom can be, it's okay for it to be seen from the living room. You know, you can think studio spaces. You want durable finishes. You don't want to be thinking about people maybe hurting those surfaces. So like if you're choosing new counters for a space, a good laminate is a nice inexpensive option, and there's some beautiful laminates these days. Or a quartz if you want to spend up a little bit. That stuff's bulletproof.
And you don't have to chase people around with a coaster.
Right.
Again, good lighting. And you mentioned something really important, because there are can lights in my family room and kitchen. And then we have to kind of put the torgeres or something that'll send the light back up again.
I mean, well-designed lighting has layers. It's coming down from the ceiling, it's coming at you from floor lamps and table lamps, and it's sometimes even coming up, like lighting feature plants and things like that. Those layers are what make lighting really work and make it really really flattering too. Light that's just coming down from above you just casts shadows under your eyes and makes you look 20 years older.
The entire world is harshly lit, so let's try to see what we can do about that. And then some savvy shopping as we're looking for art pieces in particular. Sometimes the looking online is helpful with this.
Yeah, I use art.com all the time because it's really searchable and you can get things at many different sizes, because one of the big mistakes people make is going too small in their artwork, and then it just looks like a really sad little painting on a big wall and it looks naked.
So be brave with that.
Be bold, be big.
And you're right, if you go on art.com, I love that you can choose by size, by style, by colors, and then you can look at a million things instead of running from place to place trying to find it.
And they've got the canvas wrapped art, which is so light and easy to move, which is great for covering up those like electrical panels that you don't want to see that are in every small space, but you can still access the panel really easily, things like that.
That hides the intercoms in my house.
There you go.
I don't know what were people thinking in the intercom era?
They probably ask the same question about cell phones now.
Thank you so much. Those are wonderful ideas. Up next, we are going from the inside of your home to the outside with some new siding options. Good stuff. We'll be right back.